What's up, guys, and welcome to K-Nation. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to service a riding lawnmower. So let's jump into it. Alright, after letting the lawnmower run for about 5 to 10 minutes, then you'll want to drain the oil. Usually the oil hose is on the left side. It just depends on your lawnmower engine. And make sure when you do this that you have something to catch the oil in so the oil doesn't get everywhere. We'll go ahead and let that drain out. It will be pretty slow, so while that is draining, then make sure not to lose this piece. That would not be good. So put that in a safe place, like the cup holder or somewhere safe where that won't get lost. Alright, so while the oil is draining, we can go ahead and remove the oil filter, and that's this yellow thing right here. They're not always going to be yellow. It just depends on the type of engine and that. I have this nifty little tool here that will allow me to loosen the oil filter. Usually they're sometimes on there really good, and they're a pain to get off. Once you get it loosened to where you can loosen it with your hand, take it off with your hand, you want to grab a rag and stuff it underneath, because you are going to get oil on this. So then you can just go ahead, loosen it. Alright, now there is oil inside of this, so I will dump this in where the oil is draining. One other thing I forgot to mention is if you take the dipstick out while the oil is draining, it'll help it drain a little bit faster. So I'd do that. But while we're waiting for the oil to finish draining, then we are going to want to remove the air filter, and on this one it's right there, so I'll remove that. And this air filter looks okay, not the best. One way to tell if it's super dirty and needs to be changed is by tapping it on a table and seeing how much stuff comes out. I'm just going to go ahead and replace this. Okay, I have the air filter right here in this box. This is a Kohler engine, 7000 series, and so it's going to take this particular one. There's the number if you're working on the same engine. But I'm going to go ahead, and this is what the air filter looks like. Before I replace the air filter, I like to clean this area up. And you can just take some WD-40 and spray it in there and it'll clean right up. Alright, so after we cleaned up where the air filter goes, we can go ahead and put the new one in, and it just slips right over this, and I gotta push it on there. Alright, then we can go ahead and put that back on, and the next step is to check the spark plugs. Okay, I don't know if you can see too well on this, but the spark plug wire, hold on, let me put that. The spark plug wire is right here underneath by the fuel pump and all that. They are located by valve covers, so that's one right. So on this particular one, the spark plug socket size is a 5/8. So I'm just going to start. You can tell by the way one spark plug looks if you need to change them or not. This one, it looks pretty good. I'm not going to change it personally. I'm not going to change this spark plug. It looks really good. I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of got a nice chocolatey brown to it. There's still some white left. So that means that your cylinders are running good and they're running with the right fuel ratio. So personally, I'm not going to change this, but if you want to, it is going to be an RC12YC spark plug, or this one says XC12YC, but they're normally called RC12YCs. So if you need to change your spark plug that for this particular model, that's what this one is, and you can get those at any any automotive place. They should sell them. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put this one back in. It doesn't need it, and you can usually tell if they need to be changed by just looking at one spark plug. So I'm not even gonna pull the other spark plug out. So when you put the spark plug back in, make sure to get it snug. Don't torque it down, you just snug it nice and good, and then put the spark plug wire back on till it clicks. Alright, the next thing you're going to want to do is air the tires. Alright, so airing the tires is next, and you're going to, on these back tires, you're going to want to do about 15 psi. And so yeah, make sure not to lose that little thing right there. That's important. That'll help keep your air in your tire. Alright, once you get to 15 psi on the back, then you can go ahead and do the other side. And I'm just going to skip to the front now, but go ahead and do it on both sides. Okay. On the front tire, you're going to want to do 20 psi this time on the front tires. They're smaller, so they need a little bit more air. The bigger ones don't need as much. So, alright, and then once you're to 20 on the front tires and then 15 on the back, then you're good airing the tires. Alright, so after letting the oil drain for that time, you can go ahead and put that oil plug back in there. Also make sure to snug this down as well so you don't leak oil. Alright. Alright. I like to wipe down the area. Okay, the next thing I like to do is check oil, make sure that it's all out, which it looks like it is. So there's no oil in there whatsoever. So before we add oil, we want to put the oil filter on. This oil filter, there's the oil filter number if this is the same engine you're working on. Okay, before you put the oil filter on, you're going to want to take a little bit of oil from your used oil that you just drained and rub it around the seal here. That helps it seal a little bit better. And yeah, so now let's put it on. Alright, a big mistake that a lot of people do when putting oil filters on is they really crank them on there. And you don't want to crank it on there, or it's super hard to get off the next time. Okay, once you get it started, go ahead and just snug it down on there. And then what you're going to want to do is don't snug it down with a tool, snug it down with your hands. And if you tighten it too much, then it'll be so hard to get off in the future when you do your next service on it. And it won't leak oil as long as you get it on there with your hands nice and snug. Alright, so now we're going to add oil. I went with the O'Reilly brand. It doesn't matter what brand. If you have a specific brand you like, go ahead and use that. But I prefer the 10W30, and the 10W30 runs really good in these small engines, and that's what I use with all my small engines that I service. So this is a 1 quart oil thing. Alright, so this specific motor is going to take 2 quarts of oil, and it might not take the full 2 quarts. It just depends. Okay, so I like to check the oil level right after I put 1 quart in, just to see how we're doing. And right there, we're still pretty low. It's on the L dot, so that means we're going to need to get it up right to the full dot, or the F right there. And then I check oil again, and right there says we're at the full mark, and so that means we're good. But what a lot of people don't do, and I suggest doing this, is you start it up and let it run for 30 seconds to let it go through the oil filter, and then you add some more oil because the oil level will drop. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up. Okay, now I'm going to check the oil again. And now it is below the full mark right here, so I'm just going to add just a little bit more oil. And usually it's just the rest. Sometimes it's a little less than the rest. And then again, there we are, above the full mark. Don't go too far above the full mark, but a little bit above isn't too bad and won't hurt the engine. But if you get above the full mark, then your engine will probably smoke. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Comment down below if you thought this was helpful, and any other video suggestions, also comment those down below as well. Make sure to leave a thumbs up on this and subscribe, because I will be coming out with more videos just like this. Thank you guys so much for watching.